Hi everyone, my name is Kat, What If You're a Librarian, and welcome to a new video. It's been a while since I filmed, so I might be a little rusty, but I did want to share my 2024 TBR with you today. But before we get into that, I thought you might take a look at how last year went, how my 2023 TBR went. I had 12 books on there and I did great. There's 3 that I didn't end up reading, which are Monday Is Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles, and Anathem by Neil Stevenson. So I didn't read those 3, but so we're at 9 out of 12. And also in terms of quality, they were really good. My lowest rated books out of the one I read is Eeny Meeny by MJ Arledge. I gave that one 3 stars. Then I also had one 4-star read, which is The Blade Itself. And the other 7, is it 7? 7 or 8? No, 7. The other 7 were 5-star reads, and those are The House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski, The Power of Women by Denis Mukwege, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, The Pink Clover by Didier Chris and Christian Paty, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, and Virgin River by Robin Carr. So that was really successful. And so I wanted to make another TBR that hopefully goes just as well for 2024. Usually I don't like really big TBRs like the 23 and 2023 or the 24 and 2024. Like I don't like doing those. Usually I just do 12, which is 1 book a month, which is a lot more doable. But I had a really hard time narrowing down a list for this year because there's so many books I'm excited for. So I thought, okay, let's just brain dump all the ones I'm thinking about. And then I counted them, and I had 23. And so I thought, if I just add 1 more, then I have 24, and we'll see how that goes this year. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And so we have 24 books for 2024 that are actually 36 books, because that's another goal that I have. I would like to read 1 Discworld book a month. This year I've read the first 2, going in publication order. So I read the first 2, so the next one is Equal Rights, which I will read in January. And then I'll go 1 a month, which should take me up to, is it Small Gods? Whatever the 14th book is. So that one, so that's also a goal that I have. But it's not part of the 24 because I don't know why. So yeah, here we are. So the first book I have on here is The Wings of Ashtaroth by Steve Hugh Westenra. This is an indie adult epic fantasy that is inspired by, I believe, the Punic Wars. It was some sort of Roman conflict, which, that's all I needed to know. So yeah, it is really long, so that's why I've been putting it off, but I want to get to it, because I think I'm really gonna like it. The second book I have is The Bloodstones by Tori Tekken. This is the first book in the Legend of the Bruhai, which is another adult epic fantasy series, indie fantasy by Tori Tekken, who's Tori Talks on YouTube, who's a friend of mine. And so I really want to read her book. She sent me an ebook copy to read, and I haven't yet, and I want to, so it's on the list. Then number 3, I have Becoming a Druid by Mike Mullman, which is also the first book in an indie fantasy series. I'll put all the indies first. That's why. As the title suggests, it's about someone who wants to become a druid, and in order to do that, he has to go on a quest. I do like quest stories, in fact. I feel like a lot of people have grown tired of them, but I haven't. I enjoy them. So, Becoming a Druid. Then I have one that I own physically. This is an exciting moment because it doesn't happen very often. I have The Wickwire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan. I know this is like a historical fantasy. It's also indie. This book was sent to me by the author, so thank you. And it's Dickensian something, I don't know. Like about also a thief, I think. I'm not sure, but I've heard nothing but great things about this, so I'm really excited about it. And then the last one out of the indie books is Whispers of Stone by Ligra Pescatore. This is the sequel to Where Shadows Lie, which I read in August, and I really enjoyed. I have my August wrap filmed, but not uploaded yet. I still need to edit it. So it's coming at some point. I don't know when. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked the world building in it. It's about... So it starts with some rebels, as well as the crown prince, trying to assassinate the king and queen of this kingdom. And so we follow a few of the rebels and also the princess, Eleanor, who now has to deal with her brother trying to kill her parents and being killed himself in the process. That's not a spoiler, it's literally the prologue. So, yeah, I really liked it. Went places that I didn't necessarily expect. So, I'm curious how it continues. I would also like to read a third book, which is These Gossamer Strings, I believe. I'll put the cover on screen. That's not one of the 24, but it's sort of... Whispers of Stone is sort of a placeholder for the 2 of them. Next, I have Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is the second book in the Between Earth and Sky. Is that what the series is called? It starts with Black Sun. The third and final book comes out this summer. And it'll depend whether I get to this one. This one is most likely not to be read. Because if I get to it, will depend on my library. Because they have book 1. They don't have book 2. I requested them to purchase book 2, but they never got back to me. And so maybe with the third book come out, I can ask, hey, third book comes out, can you also buy the second book in the process? So I'm gonna do that, and if they say yes and they get it, then I can read it this year. If not, I will have to put in a request for an interlibrary loan. But I can only do that for books that have been out for more than a year. And I would like to read I'll have to reread Black Sun probably because it has been a while, and then read Fevered Star and Mirrored Heavens. And I would like to read them pretty close together. So if I have to wait an entire year for Mirrored Heaven, I'm also going to wait until 2025 to reread Black Sun and read Fevered Star so that I can read them more closely together. So this one might not happen. I'm going to try and make it happen. I'm going to hope it happens. But we'll see. Then I have Under the Christmas Tree by Robin Carr, which is book 7.5. In Virgin River, I read these in publication order. I've read the first 4. So this is also sort of a placeholder for also 5, 6, and 7. I really love this series, and it has sort of Christmas or holiday themed books at pretty regular intervals, so I like to pace myself that I can always have one of those at Christmas. So I read Virgin River Christmas in 2023, and then I want to read this one Christmas 2024, and then Christmas 2025 will be book 10.5 is a holiday one, and then book 14 is also holiday themed, and then I don't know. But I'd like to do that, so throughout the year somewhere I'm going to have to read books 5, 6, and 7 so that I can read 7.5. At Christmas, that won't be a problem because I really like the series. So, yeah. Then I have The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, which I read in April of 2023. And I really enjoyed it, but I've heard some very mixed things about the second book, so I've been hesitant to pick it up because I loved book 1 so much. But yeah, I probably should do it. Yeah, I don't know. Finish a duology. That's always fun. Oh, and also now that I think about it, and I realized this before, but Six Crimson Crane was on my yearly TBR of 2023, so that would be really satisfying. So yeah. Then I have The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, which is the 3rd book in the Drowning Empire trilogy, which starts with The Bone Shard Daughter. I've really been enjoying this trilogy, but again, I've heard some very mixed things about the 3rd and final book, so I'm a little nervous to pick it up, but I do want to read it, so it's going on the list. This will probably be read relatively quickly, but we'll see. Then I have Iron Flame, which is a sequel to Fourth Wing. I had a blast reading Fourth Wing. I listened to the audiobooks. I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks, but I did Fourth Wing on audiobook while I was in the car, because I had a very long car ride. And so, yeah, I read it then, and I really liked it. I had a blast. So I want to read the sequel, but yet again, I've heard some very mixed things about the sequel. That's 3 in a row. But yeah, I am excited and I would like to read it. It's going to be a pretty long series. And I'm excited because book 1 was a lot of fun. So yeah. And then the last book in sort of the category of continuing series I've already started, I own physically, and that is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. I've read the first 2 books near the end of 2023, and I really loved them. I adored Jade City. Jade War was like I love it a little less, but I still really enjoyed it, and I've heard some really good things about Jade Legacy. I hope that it's going to be great. It is quite chunky though. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. This also will probably be happening pretty soon. Next, I have a book that actually already started. Yay me for actually working on my goals, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This far in as of filming this, don't mind these tabs. They're having something different. But I'm really enjoying this. It is sort of a retelling of Chinese history. I forgot which period, I'm very sorry. But it's adult epic fantasy. It's very low magic though. And I'm really liking it. I really like the structure and the narrative style. So yeah, I'll probably actually finish this somewhere in the next few days. So that's already one of the 24 done. Then I have a book that I already tried in 2023, but about halfway through, I realized I wasn't really in the mood for it. And so I put it down, but I would like to read it, or give it another try this year, and that is Dreaming the Eagle by Amanda Scott, the first book in the Boudica quartet. I've heard really great things. I like her as a historical character. She is not as well known as she deserves to be. I like her a lot. And what I read, I did really like. I just wasn't in the mood to fully appreciate it, but this had some beautiful nature descriptions, and I really like how, like, it is historical fiction, but like they have this religion that is presented as if it's real, and so we sort of get some like soft magic in there, which just made it feel very whimsical and fairy tale like. So I like that. I did really enjoy what I read, but as I said, it was just a mood thing. So I want to give it another go, and potentially read the entire series if possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but you know, we can hope. Then I have a German book, or at least a book that is originally written in German. I'm gonna read it in Dutch, but it doesn't have an English translation, so I'll give you the German title, and that is Die Frauen aus der Marktgasse, I believe. The cover is on screen. Sorry if I said that wrong, but I believe it's that. It's a historical fiction set in the 19th century about a hat maker. She works at like the hat shop of her mother, and through that she gets to know this noble lady who is one of their customers, and they start a friendship, and then things go from there. I put this on the list because there is a service from my library that recommends, that gives personalized book recommendations, and I signed up for it. And this is a book that gets recommended to me so many times because they give you like a list of recommendations every month, but they very often have repeats on there. But they give a lot of recommendations, so it's like it makes sense that they have repeats on there. But this book has been on there a lot. And then if it's not this book, then it's the sequel, which recently got translated to Dutch. So if possible, I'd like to read both. Then I'm caught up with the Dutch translation. I believe the third book is already out in German, but don't quote me on that. At least it's not translated to Dutch yet, so maybe that happens this year. I don't know. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. Then I have One for Sorrow by Amy McCulloch and Zoe Zug, which is the first book in a YA duology called The Magpie Society. I'm not sure if it's a thriller or horror series. I actually don't know much about this. I should have looked this up before I started filming. But I remember really liking the cover when I first saw it. And, sometimes you just gotta throw something on there that you don't remember what it is and just go in with zero expectations and be surprised. So this one's on here. If I can read both of them this year, that would be great. But I don't know if that's going to be possible. Then I have a novella, because I don't read as many novellas that I want to, and that is The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo. I always mix up this title with The House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. I always make some sort of hybrid version of the two, but it's The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo. The first book in the Singing Hills cycle, which is a series of novellas about this main character, Cleric Chi, who goes places and tells people's story or something like that. I don't know. It sounds fun. I've heard great things about it. And as I said, I want to read more novellas, so let's give it a try. Then I have quite the opposite of novellas. A series that is notorious for having really long books, and that is The Stormlight Archive, or The Way of Kings, the first book. I'm probably going to read the entire series up until the 5th book, which comes out in November, I believe. I have been saying that I want to start reading in the Cosmere for so long now. And I just keep not doing it. But now that this 5th book is coming out, so many people are doing a Stormlight Archive read along, and so I thought that's good motivation to actually do this. Finally do it, because I keep not doing it. So I'm gonna try and participate in one of those and see how it goes. I hope I like it, because I don't want to get all the Sanderson people over me if I don't. My channel is small enough that that's not going to happen, though. But yeah, we'll see. Then I have The Will of the Many by James Islington. Again, I should have looked up the pronunciation of his name before I started filming, but I forgot. This is Roman-inspired fantasy. I love Rome. So we'll see. I also really it has this magic system with will, and then you have a hierarchy of the people at the top have the most will, and so the most power over others, and then it's like a pyramid scheme. The series is called The Hierarchy. Trilogy? Is it going to be a trilogy? I don't know. The Hierarchy series. So yeah, that does sound interesting. So I want to give this a try. Next, I have The Honeys by Ryan LaSala, which is a YA horror. I want to read more horror, so I put a horror on here. And it has something to do with bees, as the title may suggest. That's all I know, but I've heard some good things. I haven't heard too many people talk about it, but the things that I did hear were really positive. So there we are. Then I have The Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rice, which is a classic that is a retelling of another classic. because this is a feminist and post-colonial retelling of Jane Eyre, told from the perspective of Mr. Rochester's wife, and sort of like what happened before Jane Eyre, and then I don't know. It seems interesting. It sounds good, so I want to give it a try. Then I have The Athenian Murders by Jose Carlos Somoza. I think that's his name. I hope I got this name correctly. I hope I remembered it right. This is... it's... So we have two layers to the story. We have this original Greek manuscript, in air quotes because it's not real. And then we have a translator of said manuscript, like in footnotes, I believe. And then sort of the two of them start to intertwine. And then the original manuscript talks about the murder of one of the students at Plato's Academy. And I've heard that it's really weird and complicated and kind of like a mindfuck of a book. And so I hope that it's going to be a little bit similar to House of Leaves. But in a different way. I think House of Leaves demands a lot from the reader, and also like you get more of it if you Google stuff outside of the thing. I don't necessarily think that the Athenian Murder is going to go that far, but I think like the experience of reading it could be a little bit similar to A House of Leaves. I also don't think it has like the weird formatting and stuff, just like text and footnotes. But I like a good footnote, so let's give it a try. I haven't heard anyone talk about this. I mean, it's originally written in Spanish, so that's why no one talks about it, because no one on BookTube cares about books that aren't originally written in English. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. I've been wanting to read it for a really long time, but I've been a little bit intimidated, a little bit scared. But it's gonna happen. It needs to happen. I want it to happen. Then next up, I have a book by Ursula K. Le Guin, because I've wanted to read some Le Guin for quite a while. And so I thought, this is the year. But I'm going to start with a little bit of an atypical Le Guin book, and that is Lavinia, which is a retelling of the Aeneas, told from the perspective of Lavinia, who is the daughter of King Latinus, who, so we have Aeneas, who comes from Troy after Troy is destroyed, and gets this task to build a new city for the people of Troy, and so he ends up in Italy after a lot of adventures, where he meets King Latinus and his daughter Lavinia, and he ends up marrying Lavinia and names the city Lavinium after her. And then many generations later, we get Romulus and Remus, who were the founders of Rome, or the mythical founders of Rome. So yeah, we don't often see Roman myth retellings. I mean, I don't have a lot of original myths, so that's probably why, but still. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a go. We'll see. I'm not as familiar with that part of the Aeneas. Like, you have sort of two parts. You have first his journey from Troy to Italy, like what happens on the way there, and then with a very well-known passage that he spends in Carthago with Queen Dido. And so we have that. I'm familiar with that part of the story, and like I know sort of what happens, but I haven't read that part of the story, so it'll be interesting to see what Ursula K. Le Guin does with it. Then I have another classic, and that is The Posthumous Memoirs of Brás Cubas, which is a classic from Brazil, ? Sorry if I got that wrong. I really should have looked up more stuff before I started filming. This is why I shouldn't be on the internet. But it's fine. It's about a guy who's dead and tells you his story, and it's really snarky and really, he plays with the medium and breaks the fourth wall a lot and is not very positive about people in general. So I've heard good things. I want to read it. That's why it's on the list. And then the 24th and final book is The Ingenious Language by Andrea Martcolongo, which is a nonfiction about ancient Greek and why it's awesome. And I want to make a video about this book because if you are like me and you study classical languages, there is no way that you haven't heard of this book, because if you haven't found it yourself or you haven't heard it in like some point at your studies, there's at least someone in your life who has recommended it to you or told you like, hey, this is a book that you should read because you like Greek stuff. But it's also just a little bit notorious among us because I don't know, I expect to feel more mixed for that reason, because on one hand it's a book that's basically a gush about language, because language is freaking awesome, and I like that a book like this can exist and be as popular as it is. So I'm happy about that. But the thing that it's notorious for is that it sort of presents things as if ancient Greek is the only language that has these features, which is not at all true. So I want to make a video about it. I'm going to elaborate there. It's not necessarily the book's fault. This is a thing that was very prevalent in just linguistics in general. So yeah, but it's not great. And I'm going to read the book because I am kind of curious, one. And two, I want to make that video about it. But also, I'm going to need the brain power to do it, which I don't know if I'm going to have. So yeah. But those are 24 books / 36 because the 12 Discworld books are going to be added / actually a little bit more because some books I put on here, but actually want to read the entire series, but I only put one book. So it's a lot more than 24, but that's fine. I'm really excited about these. I want to read them. I plan on reading them. I actually already sort of kind of by accident planned out my entire reading year, and now the sun is gone, so sorry if the lighting's weird suddenly. But yeah, I planned out my entire year already. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So, and all these 24 got a place in my plans, so yay. So if I just stick to the plans I made, all 24 will be read by the end of the year. So yay. Anyway, that's the list. Have you read any of these books? And what did you think of them? Also, tell me a few books that you're excited about to read in 2024. And I will see you again in another video. Bye.